Well, of course, as we did mention, it is primary election runoff day right here in Georgia.
So with less than an hour until the polls close, the candidates are making a final push. Our Georgia Capitol correspondent Ashley Bridges is live with the Kemp campaign in Athens for us tonight. So Ashley, what's going on there?
Ben and Joanne, there's a lot going on here. I think you can probably hear the country music warming up behind me. And I actually just got a text from Secretary Kemp saying the big truck has arrived, of course, with him and a picture of said big truck. You would think that today would be pretty stressful for him, but he actually seems to really be taking it in stride, grabbing a chili dog and maybe a few extra votes at the varsity for lunch and then voting with his family. And speaking of voting, we do know that the early voting numbers last week were very high. Now, while we don't know who those votes were for, we know that where they came from, and they were from disproportionately outside of the metro area, which tells us those might be leaning towards Secretary Kemp. His base says that they are preparing with a mindset for victory. They've had a ton of grassroots volunteers out today, and so we talked with a few people about what a Kemp-Abrams face-off could mean in November.
This sets up a fascinating race because both candidates say they don't really need the middle. They say by appealing to their party's base, they will also energize voters in a way that will turn out the masses and get them over the finishing line in November. Brian Kemp, I asked him that very question. He said, I'm the best candidate to energize conservatives with my very conservative values. He said Republicans are tired of sort of squishy conservatives.
Kemp-Abrams race is going to be ugly starting Wednesday morning because if you recall, they already have issues going back to the voter registration for 2014 and 16 and lawsuits being filed left and right. I mean, there is zero love lost between those two. As a matter of fact, there's quite a bit of animosity.
I was just speaking with Secretary Kemp's campaign, and while you don't yet really see anyone behind me, they told me that they've had more than 800 people RSVP. Obviously, if they show up, this will be a very packed room, but this event is also open to the public, so they said they could anticipate a few more, but they did say one thing before people come: to be sure to go to the polls. Reporting live in Athens, I'm Ashley Bridges, News 3.
All right, thank you so much, Ashley. And while Kemp will be busy watching results come in from Athens, Kemp and Cagle, the lieutenant governor, is in Atlanta tonight.
And News 3's Ashley Garrett is following his campaign.
Ben and Joanne, good afternoon to you. Lieutenant Governor Kemp and Cagle just wrapped up his news conference where a variety of questions were asked. Those questions include, what's his response to both the president and vice president endorsing his opponent, that's Secretary of State Brian Kemp? Cagle responded with saying in part he still likes the president, but he did also make mention that he's getting full support from current Governor Nathan Deal. Take a listen to what else he had to say.
What I am banking on and what I believe is true is that the people of Georgia know who I am, and they also know who the governor is, and they're putting their faith in the fact that the economic prosperity, the record that we're running on is ultimately going to win the day.
And coming up a little later, we'll hear some more from Cagle as he makes one of his final pushes to become the Republican nominee in the race to become the next Georgia governor. For now, though, I'll send things back to you in the studio live and on your side. I'm Ashley Garrett.